and welcome to another episode of Brainwork. I'm your host with the most serenity here, and today what I want to talk about is how failure doesn't exist. And I know what you're thinking, well, what do you mean failure? What do you mean failure doesn't exist? I've failed so many times in my life, so many successful people fail. And that's true, they do fail, but the way that you may be looking at failure right now isn't the same way that successful people look at failure. And what I mean by that is, in their dictionary, failure would instead be defined as a learning opportunity. Every time that you fail or make a mistake, that's not something to look down on yourself over and be like, man, I made a mistake, I suck, I'm horrible. Instead, look at that and say, what can I learn from this? And actually take the time to reflect on it. Just off the top of my head, I remember watching this interview with J. Cole, and he was saying how he used to be somebody who used to cheat so much on women, and he can honestly say the reason he made that mistake again and again is because he never stopped and reflected on it. And so the same mistake would happen again and again and again, and it took him so long to be a faithful man. And you see, this happens with so many people. It doesn't just have to be with cheating, but people talk about their past and they say, yeah, so I spent a decade of my life doing that until I finally learned. And I just want to let you know, you don't have to waste a decade of your life to learn a lesson. You can make that mistake once, grow from it, and never make it again. What that's saying, right? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I think that's how it goes. So if you keep making that same mistake again and again, nobody is to blame except you. And so many of us always want to run away from pain. Especially, for example, when we have children, we always want to shield our children from pain. But there's so much progress and growth in pain. You should actually spend your life chasing that pain, right? So a way to do that is to get outside of your comfort zone, push yourself, get uncomfortable. Always doing things where you feel safe, you're not going to grow in that area. And what makes us as humans feel alive is growing and giving. So make sure you're always challenging yourself. You're setting goals. If you're not setting goals and you have no intentions, how do you expect the universe to give you anything that you want if you don't even know what you want? Because you're obviously going to end up settling, and then you're going to be on your deathbed like, well, this isn't what I wanted, but you didn't tell anybody what you wanted. So nobody can help you if you don't even know what you want. And a great example of how failure can be used to your advantage is all these people who start their own businesses will multiple times fail again and again. There's really few people out there who will start a business and from day one is successful. They never fail at anything. Everything just goes according to plan. And honestly, I don't even think that's ever happened to anybody. That just doesn't sound realistic, because pain is a part of life. As a human being, you're going to experience pain. But you need to stop looking at it as a bad thing and instead realize that you can grow from that opportunity. You can grow from that pain. And there's this great quote by Thomas Edison where he said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. And I love that so much, because you can really see how his perspective is so different from most people's perspective, right? They will fail once, maybe 2 times, maybe 10 times, and they're like, man, I failed 10 times. This just isn't meant to be. I guess I can't do this. And they'll get into that negative self-talk. Even if maybe they started off being really positive, and the first time they started, they're like, yeah, I can do this, of course. But as soon as those failures start piling up, they start thinking, well, this just isn't cut out for me. And I remember there was this interview with Kevin Hart where he said, it was something along these lines where he said, people only see the last 1 or 2 years of my life, and they look at that and they say, wow, he's so successful, he got everything he wanted, but they haven't seen the 5 years before that where I constantly was being told no and no and no. They haven't seen those millions of no's that I got. They only saw the yeses. And for a lot of people, it's not like successful people shy away from talking about this. But that's just what our brain will choose to focus on, because it says, well, look, they were successful right off the bat, and you aren't, therefore you can't be successful. And you start making up these fake stories in your head, and you start suffering, because suffering is always self-induced, and you do it to yourself, right? So, to sum it up here, what I want you to realize is, do not shy away from failing. Put yourself out there. You might start something and it might suck really bad. Like, I'm gonna be vulnerable here and share how I'm starting off this podcast, and honestly, I am great at overthinking things. So before I start, I have to try and get out of that mindset of trying to plan everything and have a script and be perfect, because that's what I'm used to doing. I'm somebody who won't start something unless I know I'm gonna be successful. And so here I am starting this, having no idea how it's gonna turn out, but I have faith that it's gonna go the way it's meant to go. And I believe in myself. So, you know what, I might fail a couple 100 million times, but I'm not gonna give up. So persistence, patience, and practice are incredibly important, and it's something that you have to apply to every area of your life if you want to be successful. So make sure that you reflect about your experiences. Don't just go around experiencing things and then wonder why you're not growing or why you're not where you want to be. If you don't actually sit down and say, oh, hey, this is what went good today, this is what went bad, this is how I'm gonna fix it, well, nobody is gonna do that work for you. You actually have to put in the work into your life in order to make it a good life, right? So that's all I have for you guys today. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this podcast and make sure you give it a rating and review, and share it with somebody who is scared of failure, which is most people. So you might want to share it with everybody that you know. Share it with your mom, your grandpa, your dog. Share it with the house bunnies in your house. Is that what they're called? House bunnies? Dust bunnies. Share it with the dust bunnies in your house. Share it with everybody. And I hope that all of you have a great day. I love and appreciate all of you so much.